things are.
They're mostly my family. I wouldn't worry.
7 p.m. Not yet.
Although I did ask them not to text me in the middle of the meeting when they can't get on.
That's funny, I like that. You good?
Okay.
6:50.
Yeah, we just have to wait for 7 o'clock, that's all.
Yeah. 6:59 is being very
I know you're
aggressive.
anxious, but-
It's
No, I was using that clock back there.
Yeah,
It's a little.
You're good, anytime.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. If everybody would please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up is the appointment of village officials. And I think that's you.
All right.
So we need to do a resolution
real quick.
before you
Okay.
do that. So thank you, Larry. It's been a decade, so I need to be reminded once more. First up is a resolution to appoint Mitchell Baker as Associate Village Justice with a term expiring December 2024. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now you're.
All right. All right, Mitchell. Sir. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Mitchell J. Baker,
I, Mitchell J. Baker,
of the Village of Irvington, County of Westchester, State of New York,
of the Village of Irvington, County of Westchester, State of New York,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Associate Village
and
Justice
will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Associate Village Justice
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next up is swearing in of the new mayor. So thankfully, there's no resolution.
All right, Jonathan, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Jonathan A. Siegel,
I, Jonathan A. Siegel,
of the Village of Irvington, County of Westchester, State of New York,
the Village of Irvington, County of Westchester, State of New York,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of mayor
the duties of the office of mayor
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll have it. Whatever you like.
Whatever you want.
All right. Actually, my first decision is to deviate from the agenda for just a moment. There are two things I want to do. First is to thank Irvington for allowing me to return as mayor. What you get in return from me is a fairly simple commitment. One, I'm going to apply my own abilities, my abilities as a former CEO, a former mayor, and as an attorney, and obviously my life experience on your behalf. And second, you have my commitment to listen and learn from you. I can't succeed without the help of village residents, the people on either side of me, and the village staff. So I guess my pledge to you is that I will be available to hear from each of you and to keep you informed. In terms of priorities, and I've been asked a lot what my priorities are, mine are going to be set by Irvington, but the truth is that there's a couple that have come to the forefront already. One is to create a plan to address infrastructure issues that we've clearly been discussing, and it's been a hot topic in the village, but particularly those that relate to the firehouse, the DPW, and to Village Hall. So that's going to be high on my list. Second is to be a prudent steward of public dollars, to spend efficiently. The third is, because we have village staff in senior positions in a position to retire over the next few years, we need to start seriously thinking about succession planning, because we do not want to be surprised. Those people are critical to the success of this village. There will be, without a doubt, disagreements that the board's going to have to address. So my job overall is to find common ground when we disagree and to be fair and transparent in the solutions that we pursue. So leadership is about charting a path forward to find a better future. And with everybody's collective help, that's what I plan to do. So I'm ready to get to work now. The second thing that I wanted to talk about is really to thank some members of our Irvington Police Department. My wife and I had a remarkable experience shortly after Veterans Day. We went home and received a call from a neighbor of ours that they were experiencing a medical emergency. One of our neighbors had suffered a heart attack and actually had no heartbeat. And they certainly weren't calling for me. My wife is a surgeon, so they were calling for her. And we got there, and two of the officers who were already on site were undertaking first aid, CPR, Detective John Nairity and Officer Ryan Burnett. And Chief, I'm really directing this to you. I know that they are busy tonight, but I would really appreciate it if you would pass on my thanks, the thanks of our neighbors, and the thanks of Irvington. To be honest, I never realized that more often than not, the police are the first ones to arrive at a medical emergency like that. And they were cool, calm. My role was moving things, moving police cars. Hopefully I did no damage so that the ambulance could get in. But I watched them, and they resuscitated this gentleman. And he is, I believe he's now back at home, and he's doing very well. So I'm thankful for that, but I don't know that that would have been the case without their intervention. I also want to thank your training officer, Angelo Libertori, who I understand does the CPR training, if I'm not mistaken, which I think is great. And then last and certainly not least, I want to thank my wife, who was right there in the middle of the fray with your officers. It's good for my marriage and good for Irvington. And really also did an amazing job. And I know that you've received a letter from the family already. I'm not mentioning them purposely because they are entitled to their privacy other than what they want to disclose. But it really was remarkable for me to see. So thank them on my behalf, and I'll do it again when I see them next door. So that's it. We're back to the agenda. Thank you. I'm sorry I've delayed both of you from actually getting sworn in, which is next up. Swearing in of Trustee Arlene Burgos and Trustee Mitchell Baird as village trustees for 2-year terms. I
whispered to you, didn't say it out loud, so no one knew.
All right. Arlene, would you raise your right hand? We're going to do we'll do them one at a time. It's okay. Do one at a time. And repeat after me. I, Arlene Burgos,
I, Arlene Burgos,
of the Village of Irvington, County of Westchester, State of New York,
of the Village of Irvington, County of Westchester, State of New York,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Trustee
of the Office of Trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank
I want to pose for the photo. I'm gonna leave this here. So you guys have to sign it. All right, Mitchell. All right. Mitchell, would you raise your right hand and repeat after me, please? I, Mitchell Bard,
I, Mitchell Bard,
of the Village of Irvington, County of Westchester, State of New York,
for the Village of Irvington, County of Westchester, State of New York,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Trustee
of the Office of Trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Do I'll get you, okay, very good.
3 Larrys, 2 Mitchells, it's very
I'm in.
confusing.
I feel like we need another Arlene.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is mayor's appointment of deputy mayor, and I'd like to actually, you know already, Larry, but I'm going to continue with Larry Lockey as our deputy mayor. I don't think we need a resolution to that, it's just an appointment, okay.
I accept the appointment.
Thank you. And,
Gratefully.
let's see. Resolution to set a schedule for regular village board meetings. So, resolution to hold regular village board meetings on the first and third Mondays of each month of the calendar year, except in July, August, and September, during which months the board will meet on the third Monday. Additionally, the board will hold work sessions on Wednesday preceding the third Monday each month. Regular meetings and work sessions begin at 7 p.m. All meetings held in Irvington Village Hall unless otherwise announced. Do I have a motion for that? Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next up is the resolution to adopt an order of business for regularly scheduled village board meetings. Resolution to set the order of business for regularly scheduled village board meetings as follows. Call to order, pledge of allegiance, announcements, correspondence, public comment, consent agenda, public hearings, new business, old business, reports of boards, standing committees and officers, public comment, review of action items, and adjournment. I'll make a motion to adopt that. Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Designation of official banks. Resolved to designate JP Morgan, TD Bank, Valley Class, and NICLAS as official banks for the deposit of funds. Anybody want to make a motion for that?
Sure.
Okay. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah. That's
save
right.
you the trouble.
Yeah.
Designation of official newspapers. Resolved to designate the Gannett Journal News and Rivertown's Enterprise as the official newspapers of the village of Irvington. So moved. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You gonna object to that?
Yeah, we had the print edition, you know. Otherwise,
Designation of independent auditor. Resolved to designate the firm of PKF O'Connor Davies of Harrison, New York as official independent auditor for the village of Irvington. I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Am I correct that we will see them in the not too distant future if we want to go through the financial statements? or
Yes,
just
I
discuss
emailed
control?
them today, and I gave them the next 2 board meetings to see if it fits with their
Okay.
schedule, so we're waiting to hear back.
Got it. All right, next up is the approval of the purchase policy. Resolved to approve the purchase policy dated December 4, 2023. I'll make the motion. You just seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. And as I understand it, you're going to distribute that to staff at some point in the next week or so?
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
Approval, let me just wade my way through this here. Next up is approval of the investment policy. Resolved to approve the investment policy dated December 4, 2023. I'll make the motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I had a couple questions about that, actually. How do you decide how to allocate funds among depositories, since at some points in the year our funds are low enough that it could be all in one depository? I think that's good.
It can. Usually I don't like putting it all in one place, but the majority usually goes where the highest interest rate is. So NICLAS has been performing very well,
Okay.
so that's
They're
where most of
diversified
it's been
anyway,
going.
so that's
Yes.
probably the best choice.
Yep.
How about the cost of collateralization? I'm assuming that's That's probably a function of rate.
Yeah, we don't see any of that
Separate
cost on
breakdown.
the statements. It's a cost to the banks, so I guess they factor that into the interest rate that they give us.
Okay. For anybody who's wondering what I'm asking about, if you've been in my chair in 2009 to 2011, that was a time when you really wondered whether your money was going to come back out of a bank. So I still focus on those problems.
Well, it was a recent problem.
Yes, and you're quite correct. It comes around. Okay. Resolution to set the date of the next organizational meeting. I'll make a motion, resolve to set the date of the next organizational meeting as December 2nd, 2024. Take a second for anybody.
I know.
All right, good, we got one from this side. All in favor?
All right.
We need a
My birthday, I
pattern.
almost voted against that.
All right, volunteer appointments. First, let me say thank you. I think these are people who are re-upping, and I see some of them in the audience, so thank you very much for what you're doing. And we are planning, after we've confirmed everybody who's returning to their current positions, to update the website and probably put something on there that makes it a little easier for people to contact us if they want to volunteer. We encourage everybody to participate, and we need people on these committees if we're going to make them function properly. So, having said all that, resolve to appoint the following village board volunteer committee members. For the ARB, member Randy Huff, term to expire 2028. For the planning board, chairperson Cesar Manfredi, term to expire 2028. Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee, member Michael Smith, term to expire 2026. Theater Commission, member Shauna Liebman, thank you. You're my official announcer. Shauna Liebman, term expires 2026. I'll make the motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Trustee liaison assignments. I'm going to leave them where they are for the moment until I have enough time to really talk to you more about what you're interested in, whether you want to make changes. I think it was Brian's habit, at least in the last couple of years, to leave them where they are, but you may want to make some changes, and there may be some that, at least for a period of time, that I'm interested in doing directly. So we'll talk about that. Announcements, check over $25,000 to our vendor, Bond, Schoenig and King, PLLC. They are counsel for labor matters. The amount was $30,797. And we do these announcements just as a sort of check and balance on large amounts of funds going out. There are exceptions, and those exceptions are generally amounts that are repetitive payments, like in the pension fund for the state, by way of example. Okay, now for correspondence. Let's see how I can best summarize these. And by the way, I wouldn't mind figuring out a way where we could post these letters, just even if it was on screen, to maybe allow people to look at them for themselves, and then it would perhaps allow us to just really summarize them and talk about the substantive parts of it.
Are they posted online as part of the agenda though, right?
Yep, that's my dad. He's 91, so he gets a pass. Thank you, Dad.
So, John, all of this is posted online
It is, okay.
when the emails go out, and on the calendar entry for the agenda. There's an agenda with all of the backup attached.
And if somebody's watching, they can find it?
Well, they can find it. I'm not saying we can't put it up on
Yeah, yeah,
screen
yeah.
as to be
Okay.
helpful, but it is posted ahead of time.
Okay.
So.
Right, well, understood. I mean, I'm looking at what was distributed, so I know it's included in it. Okay, so first was from the Housing Committee. I guess they were asked to opine on a change in the short-term rental law, which relates to the 5-year, I want to say, no change.
5-year in existence.
In existence.
5-year in existence, the building that's being subject to short-term rental has to have been in existence for 5 years. And They sort of declined to take a position, although they did say it does appear to be unnecessarily onerous. I think that would be a fair summary of what they had to say about it. And I think we're going to look at it. I know I'm stepping into the middle of some of these things that are, this is midstream for me, but I think that was the general consensus of the board. They did that in another area. So perhaps we can look at this at a future work session. The next item was from Melinda Chapelier. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it was, relates to, it's addressed to the Village of the Board. The members of the Irvington Board of Trustees, the Village of Irvington is using catch basins, pipes, culverts to artificially collect and channel its drainage from almost the entire length of Riverview Road and its side streets onto 8 private properties without easements or recorded rights. What's the legal basis on which the village is relying to operate its stormwater system in this way? Generally, I'm just going to read these. I understand you may be, the Chapeliers may be making a comment later, at least I was told that by email. So I'm not going to go into anything substantive at this moment. And just to make one more point on that, I do understand it's a subject of litigation, which makes it also difficult for the court to talk about it. But when you have the opportunity to comment, we'll figure that out. The third letter was from the Irvington Landmark Preservation, Inc., and it relates to the suggestions and the proposals that have been made regarding the change in the function of the Architectural Review Board. It's a rather lengthy letter, so I think maybe the best way to do this would be to assure them that there will be hearings if and when we get to the point where the law is satisfactory to everybody on, or the proposed law is satisfactory to everybody on this board, at which point we'll bring them into the process. Just to raise a few other points, to be fair to them, they suggest that we look at what other Westchester villages that have similar problems are doing. And I think the overall problem that was trying to be addressed, and I am looking at this from the outside, is that it was taking too long to process through our boards. Would that be a sort of a fair?
Yeah, the length and also the timing of the feedback from the Architectural Review Board, rather than being at the end, would be at the beginning of the process.
Got it. So the proposal changes the Architectural Review Board in many respects to more of an advisory board as it currently exists. I'm not saying that's the where it's going to end up. But, and they've also expressed a concern about historic buildings outside of the historic district, because the ARB plays a role in that, and suggested we look at the ethics code to see whether we should modify that to some extent so that architects can serve on the ARB. And I know that's a problem in other areas. The Tree Commission, Tree Preservation Commission, for example, you can't get somebody who is a landscape architect who might have a conflict. So we might want to look at some of those. I understand from having to deal with this in public company realm, you have back scratching issues where if you've got more than one architect on the board, you have to worry about whether someone's making a decision. I trust that they'll behave ethically, but from an outside observer's viewpoint, you want to figure out how to prevent that. I think that's probably most of the substance of that. So I guess now it's public comment. So if anybody would like to make a public comment, please feel free. I think the convention here is to try to limit it to 3 minutes. Is there anybody who wants to speak?
You'll speak. Randy Huff, I'm on the ARB board. Thanks for the appointment, I think.
Yes.
So I hear the right things, that you guys are going to slow this down a bit. And I just want to say that the problem exists across all the boards, and including the building department. And my suggestion is that we step back and probably form a working group, which I know a lot of volunteers, of subject matter experts and residents, anybody that's going through the process. There's a lot of complaints and there's a lot of room for improvement. So that's.
I can't commit to one thing or another because I've been mayor for, I don't know, not even a half hour, but that's not a bad idea.
Okay.
So, and we have to have a work session to talk about it, and they can educate me as well as to what's happened so far on this particular subject.
Okay, great.
My understanding this was meant to be like the first step, but I'm certainly open to, I agree with you, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just a matter of
Yeah,
how to do about it.
We're just kind of missing the conversation with the people who are experiencing the issues. So,
Yeah, and I would actually like to hear from people who had specific complaints. I mean, I'm not looking to point the finger at somebody at Village Hall, but I want to hear what the problems were. Because over time, it was my impression that there were some benefits to not having a rapid process. You avoided some pretty serious mistakes. Now, that was at a time when there were very large developments going on, so you could have a much larger impact. I'm not expressing an opinion either way at this point in terms of the pace, but I would like to hear what somebody's specific complaint was in terms of what happened to them.
okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for stepping up again.
Thank you.
I just want to add one thing to
Yeah.
that. I do think it's important to have input from residents who experience, the process. But I would just say that we need to give some thought to confidentiality because people feel uncomfortable,
Sure.
right? Sort of,
Absolutely right.
yeah, putting themselves kind of in the line of fire.
Yeah, I would take,
essentially.
as long as, let's say, one of us knew that it was a real person and they've had it,
Yeah.
and if they want to give us a description, that would be fine. I mean, we'll discuss what is workable, but
mean,
you're right, that's
yeah.
fair, that's a fair point.
Yeah, so I think the problem in Irvington is like 2 sentences and you know who it is.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's fair. Any other public comment, please?
I'm Paul Ficalora, President of the Irvington Landmark Preservation Committee. So you summarized pretty well. I just want to say thank you for the consideration because that really is very valuable to us. And so any questions you have in the process in your own meetings, do not hesitate to reach out to me.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the letter. It really is helpful.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi, Connie Kehoe, at Jaffrey Park. Hi, everybody. Thanks for stepping up, all of you. Nice to see everybody. I did want to just speak a tiny bit about that same issue related to the considerations about the ARB. And I actually haven't gotten into the weeds of what has been suggested, but I do remember we discussed this 12 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And what I think I just want to say a very simple thing, which is I want you to keep in mind the end goal of all of this. I mean, there is a question about adjusting the process, but the goal, I think there is a goal of making things simple enough for the public, not to go through years and years of coming back and going back. But on the other hand, what is the goal of having a planning board and ARB? What's the purpose? And to me, there is a big purpose in creating, or I'd say maintaining, a sense of community, uniqueness, history, as well as a sense of place. So however you think about the procedure, I think keeping in mind the goal of that is really important. A little inconvenience for a really great outcome, I think, is worth it. So slowing down, all these things make sense to me. So I'm just going to give you guys two things, visuals. You can keep them or not. This is a picture of the Odell House, 1693, not in the historic district, by the way, no protection. And this was what I thought was a great document, Irvington Historic District Design Guide. I had to print out a page because I couldn't find all my old village stuff. So I'm just going to remind you of this. You can pass it around, visual things.
Thank you.
And thank you. Good to see you all.
Thank you. Hi, David Zweibel.
Live on Continent Street, 30-some year resident. And I would like to just add on to the last three speakers. I happen to be on the ILP and a few other boards, the Housing Committee, et cetera. But in addition to that, I've been a real estate developer. I've had 6 or 8 houses in Irvington that I've either built from the ground up or remodeled, and have a lot of experience with all of the boards. Actually, I've been asked to be a member of both the ARB and the planning board in the past, which I declined. And I am quite familiar with what they're seeing. The impetus of this has been, yes, it's very difficult to get a building permit through. And I can agree with that. So I am all for simplifying the process. However, when I looked at what was in the village board minutes with proposed changes to the law, basically it was just lining out completely the ARB and replacing it with a non-decision making body, what they're calling an ARC, in the lineouts. That just hit my heart. The way the law works is you can't zone people's property to make it look nice. That's illegal in zoning. You can do whatever you want with your property. What things look like is not the purview of zoning, and it's not even the purview of, in general, planning and code enforcement. So the only way to accomplish maintaining a visual appearance is the creation of the Architectural Review Board, which is legal, and we can do that. And we have historic districts, etc. Without that board, and without it being a decisive body, the entire character of the village, of it being a small village, cannot just be enforced by zoning and planning and the building department. We need professionals, which are presumably architects. It's critical that we somehow figure out how we can get an architect on the planning board, an architect on the Architectural Review Board, so we can look at what things, whether they fit in with the village in a legal way, which we can't do in zoning. I strongly support the idea of stepping back from this redlined as we have done and looking at the whole process and seeing where we could add efficiencies. But I feel strongly that the reason we have the difficulty in getting these permits is the codes, the planning, the zoning, the Architectural Review Board. But the reason they're all there is because the community wants it. We don't want any individual homeowner to put up their monolithic cement wall, which was sort of proposed in the fire hall plan. And various people have commented on, that was part of the demise of that vote, was what it looked like. It didn't fit in with the character of the building, of the village. We need that, and we need to do that. And I would strongly hope that the village will step back and the trustees will step back and bring in a few more people, architects, to make their comments, maybe a few builders, maybe a few homeowners, people who have actually been through the process and know how it works somewhere else. Other villages have architects on their village boards around us, so, what's the problem? So thank you very much, and I hope that we
Thank you.
go forward on it.
Well, the good news is I've been taking down names of people who've been commenting who want to participate, so we'll be back to you.
Okay.
No
thank
good deed goes unpunished.
you. Indeed.
Anybody else have a comment?
Would it be useful, Larry, did you want to talk about how because these changes didn't come from nowhere, they came from a group that worked on it for quite some time, right? And
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an internal group, which I think the suggestion was
Right.
having more of a community working group.
And it was also, and again, this is from an outsider, or at least I was until a half hour ago or so, trying to solve some overriding problems. And that's the whole purpose ultimately of putting it out to a hearing, vetting it, because then you hear about some of the things you may not have addressed.
Yeah.
Okay, any more comments? Going once, going twice, okay. Next up is the consent agenda. So I'm going to make a motion to adopt the minutes, unless anybody had comments on these, of the regular meeting of the village board held on November 2023, the appointment of certain personnel in the Rec and Parks Department, and the approval of a filming permit for MJZ Films. I'm going to abstain with respect to the approval of the minutes only because I was not a part of the board at that point in time. Do I have a motion to approve of that?
I'll make these.
Okay, seconded,
I'll
all in
second it.
favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up is the award of a purchase contract for equipment for the Irvington Town Hall Theater. Do you want me to go through the resolution first, or you want to tell us a little background, or?
I can give you just a quick background,
Okay.
yeah. So this is related to the theater air conditioning project, which has obviously been long awaited. This is, since we are essentially general contracting this project, we're using various tradespeople that have been bid out in contracts. We're using those people to install the equipment, and the equipment is the bid that you have in front of you. So that's only the equipment, and we want to get that ordered, obviously, as soon as possible.
Okay.
And this is part of the grant money we got for this, right?
Yes.
All right, so the resolution is, whereas two bids were received on November 22nd, 2023 for HVAC equipment for the Irvington Town Hall Theater as follows. Clean Air Quality Service at a total for equipment and delivery was $228,565. New York Home Maintenance Company, Inc., DBA A. Borelli Mechanical, total cost was $238,719, whereas the village administrator reviewed the bid submitted and determined that the bidder reviewed the bid submitted.
The bid is in order,
Bid is in
sorry.
order.
Yep.
And responsive to the specifications, now therefore be it resolved to award the purchase contract 2023-26 for HVAC equipment for the Irvington Town Hall Theater in the amount of $228,565 to Clean Air Quality Service, Inc., and to authorize the village administrator to execute said contract. So I'm making a motion to do all of that. Anybody want a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have one unscheduled addition to the agenda, and that is the New York State Department of Transportation has asked that we change the speed limit on the entire stretch of Broadway to 30 miles an hour from, I think we've got two speeds right now, 30 and then 35. And if I'm remembering our conversation, at one point, we wanted to do this anyway, is that correct?
Actually, I was going to say that the state is getting back to us on a 2008 request that we made to change the speed limit to 30 miles an hour along the entire stretch. At that time, they did not recommend the northern part of that stretch, North Broadway, to be 30 miles. They kept it at 35, which was consistent with the Village of Tarrytown's South Broadway. And now Tarrytown has changed their speed limit to 30. So now they're suggesting and requesting that the speed limit be changed to 30 throughout. So,
Well, you can only move 5 miles an hour trying to get through Tarrytown with all the construction, but that's okay.
well, this is, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yes. So they're just getting back to us on this. And
Okay, so what we're doing here, however, and I think we have the law. Do I need to read this, or I'm just, okay.
No.
So then what I'm asking for is a motion to have a public hearing on December 18th to adopt a law that would, actually, before I do that, Chief, do you have any objections or comments on the changing the speed limit? I assume you're
No,
in
yeah, I spoke
favor.
with David Parker from DOT as well about it. It's something we've talked about for months, and I'm in favor of that.
Great, okay, thank you. So I'm making a motion to have a public hearing on the change in the law to create a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit across the length of Broadway through Irvington, and that hearing would be on December 18th. Anybody want to second that?
Sure, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have reached reports of board, standing committees, and officers, and trustee liaison reports. I have no idea which direction you folks used to start, so that way? Okay. I don't want to break precedent.
Okay, quick update from the building department. They are continuing with fire inspections of the schools. They're working on the new computer system, and they invited me to their Zoom meeting with the programmer tomorrow, so I'll let you all know how that goes next time. The inspectors attended a training seminar on temporary tents and the state code requirements. That is all.
Thanks to the beautification committee for the holiday greening of the village, and thanks to all the departments, and particularly to the Main Street Singers for the village tree lighting ceremony this past Saturday.
I don't have anything this week. None of my people met in the last 2 weeks.
I have a report from the DPW. The East Sunnyside Curb project is ongoing. The emergency catch basin repair at 24 Joffrey Park, as requested by the IPD, Hamilton Road parking spaces and double yellow lines striped. They assisted Parks and Recs in setting up for the holiday tree lighting, and the Main Street, Astor Street sidewalk project has commenced, as I'm sure people have noticed.
Thank you. Village administrators report.
So two quick announcements. One is that there's going to be a scheduled closure of East Sunnyside Lane. We'll be putting out the details of that. I believe it's Wednesday and Thursday this week.
Yes, Wednesday and Thursday.
Right, so is it Con Edison? I'm sorry, Con Edison's.
No, but yeah, tree service.
The tree service for Con Edison will be doing a pretty large set of removals on East Sunnyside. And it requires a crane. So there's going to be a closure. It doesn't affect the school buses, but it will affect the residents that live there. So we're going to be putting out a notice with the details. I think it's in the vicinity. It's west of Hudson View Park and east of 140 back driveway, right?
No, it's going to be from Broadway.
Oh, Broadway to 140.
Yeah, to about the back entrance of 140.
So our police, yeah, thank you. You're welcome. Our police will be on scene to direct me, of course.
And how many days is that for?
It's 2 days.
2 days.
And between about
9:30
9:30.
and 2 p.m.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Well, compared to what we went through.
Why not? Everything's relative.
Right.
I have a question for you. How is the work at the bottom of Main Street going?
Good. They're within the next 2 weeks should be done. And, buttoned up for the winter anyway. There's still
Got it.
more work to be done.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Yep.
Is that it?
One other.
Go ahead.
Actually, I'm actually very happy to announce my assistant, Karen Bukhari, had been pursuing a designation from the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. It's a designation called Master Municipal Clerk. It's an education program that she's undertaken, actually, probably just prior to her arriving here in Irvington and then continuing through. And she's been awarded that designation by the IIMC. So it was a lot of work on her part, and my congratulations.
That's great.
Yep.
Village Clerk Treasurer's report.
Okay, I have a few things. So our new $7.7 million ban is scheduled to close tomorrow. The interest rate is 4.5%, but it did include a $49,000 premium. So the net interest rate comes out to be about 3.857% compared to 4.01% last year. And along with that, Moody's did a rating of our ban, and we got assigned a rating of MIG1, which is the highest rating that can be received on short-term municipal obligations, and denotes superior credit quality. And then, as mentioned before, our financial statements have been issued and are now posted on the website. And it's tax collection time. So payment is due without penalty by end of day, Tuesday, January 2nd. And payment can be made online, mailed, or dropped off at Village Hall. And there's no fee for payments made online with checking accounts.
Thank you very much. Village Attorney's report?
I agree.
Okay. Your timing is good if you want to make a comment, because we're near the end of the organizational meeting, it's public comment time. Are you, okay?
Oh, thank you. Okay, all right.
No, that's,
First of all, congratulations,
Thank
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all the new trustees. Congratulations on your reelection. Jeff Clegg speaking for the Taxpayers for Irvington's Future Group. We're excited to work with all of you on potential continuation of planning for the village and execution of the 2018 plan, and just wanted to be a resource for all of you. And we're working with a number of groups on the ARB zoning and planning stuff, and look forward to contributing to kind of a holistic view of how to improve things for the town.
that's great. If you are preparing, to submit something to us
Yes.
in writing, you don't have to rush, because we're going to have a work session where we decide sort of how we're going to approach those two matters to begin with.
Right.
So, and that is the 12th. And then our next meeting is the 18th, but we're not about to adopt something, I think, on either one of those
Okay.
right away. And look, I think I speak on behalf of the board. We appreciate anybody who wants to participate in the process.
Thank you.
We want a big, wide cross-section of the village, not only for planning in terms of facilities, but for how we structure the ARB and the rest of the, real estate planning process.
Exactly.
So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would it be helpful to submit something ahead
Sure.
of that, or wait until that process?
I think it would be helpful if you have sort of general comments up front.
Some
That
drafts.
would
Okay,
be
great.
helpful.
Thank
That
you,
would
Mr.
help us decide, how to approach it. like you
Sure.
said, yeah.
Okay,
And
great.
particularly, it doesn't hurt if you've got a committee and you're giving us names of people who are interested in participating.
We absolutely can.
That's helpful.
Thank you.
So
Thank you very much to all of you. Congratulations.
Thanks, thank you. Anybody else with public comment? All right, review of action items. So nothing for tonight. Well, we have plenty, but they're not.
Yeah,
not
no,
coming out of this
nothing
meeting.
specific that came up, right?
Okay, so I guess I don't know if I need a motion, but I'm going to suggest that we go to executive session to discuss personnel. I need a motion, okay. I've been away too long. I'm going to make a motion that we go to executive session to discuss some personnel matters. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Do we stay here?